Hi, I'm Mariam Ahmed, and you're watching Uni TV, your window into university life. This time, we're looking at the dangers of riptides and science of the surf. Also, there's amazing new facts we learned about engineering. We get hands-on with industrial design. And what's so new about new media? But first, let's check in with our student ambassadors and find out about their experiences as a first year. Hi, and welcome to Uni Life, for all you ever needed to know about being a uni student. This week, we're talking about making new friends. So, you've left the security of your old high school mates and get chucked headfirst into a new environment with strange new people. How do you cope? Well, luckily with me today is our expert panel of students, Raj from medicine, Sophie from law, Amy from arts and education, and Peter from commerce and law. So guys, leaving the security of your high school friends, how did you find this new environment? How did you cope? What was the thing you found the hardest, and how did you get through it?
Well, I lived in a small country town called Hobart, and I was completely stoked to get to Sydney and get into some partying and meet new people.
I also came from the country. All my school friends, they moved to different parts of the state to go to different unis, so it was really exciting to come to Sydney and go to college and meet heaps of people.
I stayed in Sydney, but I was coming to a new part of the city and not with any of my school friends. So it was a little intimidating at first, but then you realise that everyone's in the same boat as you and a lot of people have the same interests.
I also stayed in Sydney, and I was at the same school from kindergarten through to year 12, so it was a massively new experience for me to come to uni, but it ended up being really good.
Well, there's also a whole new social scene at uni. At high school, you may have been Miss Popular or the cool kid, but none of that applies here. You get to start afresh. So guys, I was wondering, do you have any interesting or funny stories about how you tried to make a good impression or even score a date?
Well, I'd made a lot of friends in classes in my first couple of weeks, but I hadn't really met any special ladies as such. So one day I saw a tour group going past, and there was a particularly attractive girl, so I tacked onto the tour group and did my best for a few minutes until I was devastated to find out she had a boyfriend. So about 20 minutes later, I had to sort of jog off in the opposite direction and leave the tour group staring after me.
I was at college, so we had our first week of uni was O Week, where we had heaps of activities, and one of the things we did was a public transport rally through the city, which was just ridiculous. We were all wearing matching t-shirts and having to do ridiculous things like lying down in Pitt Street Mall pretending that we were dead ants. But ultimately it was a really great way to get to know people really quickly, and I still regret jumping into the harbour.
It was a few weeks into uni and my friend Jules and I were still getting the hang of our timetable. I was pretty keen to impress, so I boasted that I knew the location of our next lecture. Unfortunately, when we got there, we realised we were in the wrong place. Luckily, we managed to escape and not make too much of a fuss, but she didn't let me forget it anytime soon.
For me, it was the first couple of weeks of uni. It was raining and I was walking up the main walkway. Now while I was walking up, there were some girls on the opposite side of the walkway. So I started to swagger a little bit, try to show off a little, and I completely slipped on my butt, on my back. It was killing me, and yeah, the girls laughed at me and walked off, and I was left there wet and sore.
Guys, thanks a lot for that. To sum things up, I'd say that to make new friends at uni, make a real effort to get to know people and try and get involved. There's so many opportunities out there. You never know, you might end up making lifelong friends. But yeah, also try and keep in touch with your old high school mates, because there's so much history and experience there to, fall back on. But yeah, good luck guys, hope everything goes well, and I'll catch you next time on Uni TV.
I'm Dr. Rob Brander, and I'm a surf scientist from the University of New South Wales, and welcome to the Science of the Surf. In this series, we're going to talk about a lot of things to do with the coast. We're going to talk about waves, rips, beaches, rocks, everything you can think of, including nasties. And in this first episode, we're going to start off talking about waves. Why do we get waves in the ocean? Where do they come from? And how do they form? What makes waves? Well, basically it's simple. It's wind. When the wind blows, you get waves in the ocean. And there's three things about wind that are important. One is how fast the wind blows, 2 is how long the wind blows for, and 3 is what is the distance over water that the wind will blow. So the biggest waves occur when the wind is blowing hard, it lasts for a few days, and it's got large distances to blow over. And there's a transfer of energy from the wind into the water itself, and the waves start moving.
Initially, the waves are really messy, really choppy, short-crested. You get a lot of white capping, and we call these wind waves because you can actually see them being formed by wind. But after a while, the waves start to travel further away from the wind, and the further they travel, the more they organize themselves, and they form into what we call swell waves. So swell waves look nice and clean, and they've got long distances between their crests, and they've traveled a long way.
So how do we describe waves in the ocean? It's actually really simple. And what I'll do is I'll draw a nice little wave in the sand. Now, every wave has a top called the crest, every wave has a bottom called the trough. And the vertical distance between the crest and the trough is what we call the wave height. Now, the distance between that crest and that crest is something we call the wave length. So every wave has a height and every wave has a wave length. Now, let's assume you're standing in the water. The time it takes for that wave to reach you is what we call the wave period. So the wave period is the time between waves. And wind waves have wave periods of about 3 to 8 seconds, and swell waves have periods of about 8 to 20 seconds.
Now, as the wave travels, there's a difference between how the energy of the wave moves and how the water particles move themselves. The shape of the wave, the up and down motion, that's actually the energy moving through the wave. Water particles, believe it or not, are trapped in these circles, these orbital motions underneath the wave. And these orbits get smaller and smaller and smaller as you get deeper until they finally peter out. Now in deep water, waves can actually travel very fast. But once you get into shallower water, those orbits start to hit the bottom, and that physically slows the wave down, and that's what causes waves to break.
So in this episode, we've discussed why we get waves in the ocean, what forms them, how they've traveled away from the wind source, and the different types of waves in the ocean. In the next episode, we're going to focus on what actually happens when the waves break. Why do waves break? What are the different types of ways that waves can break? What are dangerous waves? What are safe waves? There's a lot to talk about because that's what we swim in when we go to the beach.
Hi, welcome to the wonderful world of industrial design. I'm Oyademir Bilek, Associate Professor at UNSW, Faculty of the Built Environment, and I'm the Program Head for Industrial Design. Industrial design involves the research, design and development of a whole range of consumer and capital products. Of course, these could be as varied as telephones, transportation devices or systems, kitchen appliances, medical equipment, toys, educational tools, exhibition systems, you name it. We believe in leading-edge experimental design and research focusing on human beings, sustainable lifestyles and innovative futures. Of course, achieving that idiom is half the fun. And that's the daily challenge for our students, finding real solutions to real human needs and making stuff work.
Hi, I'm Josh, and this is my design major project. It's called Eve, and it's a home energy monitoring device. Basically, it uses lighting signals and physical interaction in order to draw people into the process of saving energy around the home.
Hi, my name is Min Kong, and this is Genie, was my final project. Genie is intuitive computing, designed to be more familiar for those who find computing technology alien.
An industrial designer is responsible for the impact his or her product will have on nature, human health and society, and it is crucial that he or she always keep that in mind during the creative process.
Hi, I'm Eugene. Just as much as I wanted to become a designer, I love music as well. So as a final project, I tried to incorporate both music and design. What I was trying to do here with this product is to develop a system for adults who want to learn the guitar but have no prior musical education. So what the device does is it converts MP3 or music data files into binary code that is fed through the lasers in the product. And the lasers are projected then onto the fretboard, which gives players a more intuitive and hands-on way of learning how to play the guitar.
Hi, I'm Angeline. This is Celsius. It's my major project. It's a modular refrigerator. So what you do is you purchase a base unit, and the idea is that then, depending on the way that you eat, you purchase additional units. So if you drink lots of wine, you could purchase this one, and then you could get one for meat, for vegetables, for fruit, and you control each of these cabinets separately. So there's 5 temperature presets, and you select one depending on what's inside, and away you go.
Industrial design is everywhere. It is woven in the fabric of society, and the projects our students are doing today are very likely to come to life and be in the hands of real users and real environments tomorrow.
My name is Khan Sevinch and I study BIT, which is Business Information Technology. Information systems is about using technology out there to operate businesses at their optimum level. UNSW is reputable for being among the best universities in Australia, and the School of Information Systems Technology and Management have a lot of research that they publish, both within Australia and worldwide, and for that reason I chose UNSW to pursue my degree. I saw it as an opportunity to increase my knowledge in the area and get a career in IT. And with IT I know I can work anywhere in the world with it. One of the clubs I joined was the BITSA Club. BITSA is pretty much a student association for the IS/IT scholars of UNSW, and they organise activities and games for the IS/IT students during their industrial training and just during normal university time, so people can socialise and get to see each other, meet each other. I worked at 3 different companies for 6 months. We have a bunch of sponsors ranging from IBM to Coca-Cola, and I got to put in my preferences in. I worked for IBM, Westpac and Transfield. Westpac has a new building in the CBD, Sydney CBD, and during its construction it was a massive project to sort of create a new image for Westpac, so I was involved with the information technology aspect of that. Starting with the networking opportunities, we get to meet people in the industry, which is good for future prospects. I'll be working in KPMG as a graduate in 2009 in the Business Performance Services team. And simply put, they look at business processes and their activities and look at the risks involved with that and look at ways to improve their performance overall. So having Westpac and IBM on my resume really helped me, really set me ahead of other students when I was looking for a job, and I can thank UNSW for that.
Hi, I'm Fran Strawn, and on the couch with me today is Professor Ross Harley from the College of Fine Arts in Sydney. Now Ross, you're an academic and a video artist.
That's right.
What do you find so engaging about video?
Well, I think video is a really contemporary form that allows us to deal with the image and with sound in a really interesting way. video is all around us. We see it on television, we see it on DVDs, and I suppose more and more in the movies. And so I'm really interested in how you might think about that as an artistic form of expression, or as a way to make work in a way that might not be quite like the sort of things that we see on television. So video is a form of expression that artists can use in galleries and museums these days, in the same way that artists might use painting or photography, or they might engage in sculpture. So I'm really interested in the way that video works as an art form, I suppose.
So you teach digital art at COFA?
Yeah, so electronic media arts is what we would call it.
So how do you transfer these sorts of ideas to your teaching, or how do you experiment with those sorts of mediums?
Well, a lot of it comes from your own practice as an artist, and one of the things you have to do as a practitioner is to stay engaged with the the big questions of our time, and with the changes in the way that people think about making work. And so, if that's what you need to do as a professional, as a practicing artist, then that's what you tend to bring into your teaching, and you take into the classroom with you. That experience of working, making your own projects, tends to rub off into your teaching and into the classroom. So a lot of what I do as an artist, working with video cameras and computers and new forms of technology, finds its way into the courses and into the programs that we run. So a lot of teachers build upon their experience as practitioners, and they build upon their experience as researchers in the field, and they put that into the classroom. And it's the same in the field of media arts or digital media as it is anywhere else in the fields of university research and teaching.
Fantastic. And I know you've got strong thoughts on the power of new media.
I do.
What do you think the future of new media is, and how much longer will we be calling it new?
Well, it's always one of the problems when we think about the term new media. Of course, yesterday's media is today's old media, and new media is a term that I suppose has lots of different meanings. But for me, it's about trying to come to terms with the possibilities of new forms of technology. So there are many in the digital world, and they keep unfolding before our eyes, and we see new forms of possibility for working with other people at a distance, using the web, and using dynamic databases, using forms of telecommunication, and using a lot of the technology that we see in home-based entertainment systems, in the gaming industry and so on. I think all of that is starting to change the way in which we make media, and the way in which we consume it, and the way in which we participate in it. So one of the big changes for me is this thing that we might call participatory media. So we don't consume media without putting something back into it. So the whole phenomena of YouTube and of blogging and of people going out with high-definition camcorders and making their own movies has really changed the way that we think about the industry. It's no longer something that only the professionals do. People who might be prosumers is a term that people often use, half consumer, half professional, mix and match the way in which they might view work but also make work. So that the line between the producer and the consumer has really changed. That's a big change.
And so your students would be prosumers, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of students who certainly in the undergraduate degree, they're completely swimming in a new media world, and so they're conversant with all kinds of computer games and mobile media and Facebook and all of the the branded names that we might know about. That's sort of very much part of everyday life. And so I'm interested in how in a classroom or in a learning experience or in a research we can mobilize those things and bring that into the classroom, and that's where I think there are lots of really exciting possibilities.
This group of researchers work at the interface of engineering, medicine and biology. A 10-year development underway to create a bionic eye. This is the map of what will be contained in a tiny neurostimulator chip.
So this work took about, well, 3 or so PhD students, about 6 months of their lives to do. There's about 1 million wires there, and it's about one of the most complex neurostimulation chips, ever designed.
Its size is only 2 by 4 millimetre.
So this chip is not mounted on this carrier package, but what happens is it's turned upside down and mounted on this carrier. So in terms of the technology, we'd have an external camera and a processing unit that would send signals and power to a device that would be implanted inside the eye. There'd be electrodes at the back of the eye on the surface of the retina, and they would be electrically stimulated, and they would then convey information down the optic nerve to the brain, to the visual cortex of the brain. And we believe that the brain would be able to interpret those signals, probably remodel some form of a visual image.
These dotted images show what a person might see when using a bionic eye.
I think to create a bionic eye is equivalent to trying to create a television as compared with a radio. I mean it's of orders of magnitude more complex to create a bionic eye. It's an enormous task, but we've been doing it for 10 years, and we believe we have probably the most advanced electronics technology that is in use today around the world.
So there you have it, a bionic eye by the year 2020. That's so impressive. Watch this space for more scientific developments. That's all for the show, guys. I hope you had fun, and I'll catch you next time on Uni TV.